What say we read a little Proust? Hold on, I gotta find my glasses. Sorry. Wait, here we go. I've got a lot of pear laying around, hoping to. So, they were ladies of lofty aspirations who, for that reason, were incapable of taking the least interest in what might be termed gossip, even if it had some historical import, or, generally speaking, in anything that was not directly associated with some aesthetic or virtuous object. So complete was their negation of interest in anything which seemed directly or indirectly correctly with worldly matters that their sense of hearing, having finally come to realize its temporary futility when the tone of the conversation at the dinner table became frivolous or merely mundane, without the two old ladies being able to guide it back to topics dear to themselves, would put its receptive organs into abeyance to the point of actually becoming atrophied. So that if my grandfather wished to attract the attention of the two sisters, he had to resort to some physical stimuli, as alienists adopt in dealing with their distracted patients. To wit, repeated taps on a glass with the blade of a knife, accompanied by a sharp word, and a compelling glance. Violent methods which these psychiatrists are apt to bring with them into their everyday life among the sane, either from force of professional habit or because they think the whole world a trifle mad. Their interest grew, however, when the day before Swan was to dine with us, and when he had made them a special present of a case of Asti. My great aunt, who had in her hand a copy of the Figaro, in which to the name of a picture then on view in a Corot exhibition, were added the words, "From the collection of M. Charles de Swan," asked, "Did you see that Swan is mentioned in the Figaro?" "But I've always told you," said my grandmother, "that he had a great deal of taste." You would, of course, retorted my great aunt, say anything just to seem different from us. For knowing that my grandmother never agreed with her, and not being quite confident that was her own opinion, which the rest of us invariably endorsed, she wished to extort from us a wholesale condemnation of my grandmother's views, against which she hoped to force us into solidarity with her own. But we sat silent. My grandmother's sisters having expressed a desire to mention to Swan this reference to him in the Figaro, my grand aunt dissuaded them. Whenever she saw in others an advantage, however trivial, which she herself lacked, she would persuade herself that it was no advantage at all, but a drawback, and would pity so as not to have to envy them. I don't think that would please him at all. I know very well that I should hate to see my name printed like that, as large as life in the paper, and I shouldn't feel at all flattered if anyone spoke to me about it. She did not, however, put any very great pressure upon my grandmother's sisters, for they, in their horror of vulgarity, had brought to such a fine art the concealment of a personal allusion in a wealth of ingenious circumlocution that it would often pass unnoticed, even by the person whom it was addressed. As for Mother, her only thought was of trying to induce my father to speak to Swan, not about his wife, but about his daughter, whom he worshipped, and for whose sake it was understood that he had ultimately made his unfortunate marriage. You need only say a word. Just ask him how she is. It must be so very hard for him. My father, however, was annoyed. No. You have the most absurd ideas. It would be utterly ridiculous. And stop. You can take over. It's back when it was called Pendu Femel. Let me remember. What's the name of this book? Oh, what it used to be called. Oh, yeah, Remembrance of Things Past.